Hi. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Coffee. And for those of you who do know me, I'm Coffee. Welcome back. For a while now, I've had a growing interest in indie games. I find that the art direction, gameplay mechanics, storytelling ability, and overall quality that independent developers bring to the table is nothing short of revolutionary. So, in an effort to work through my ever-growing backlog, I've decided to make these videos talking about the games I enjoy, going into why I like them, why I think they work, or don't, and hopefully highlighting these games for those of you who might not have heard about them. I'll do my best not to spoil everything these games have to offer, though I will be showing footage of environments, characters, a lot of gameplay, so consider yourselves spoiler warned. Without further delay, today I wanted to talk about Delver is a combination of a few genres that I've enjoyed in the past. It's parts first-person dungeon crawler, roguelike with RPG elements, and its action combat is just plain fun. Delver was developed by Priority Interrupt, a collaborative game studio made up of Chad Cuddigan and Joshua Skelton. In this adventure, you play the role of a Delver, a rogue who ventures into long-lost dungeons that seem to shift and change every time you venture in. The lore of the land is told partly through NPCs who give you their own insights on the dungeon and their experience with the legends that surround the area, as well as through scattered notes of dead adventurers you find along your travels. For now, you only know you must go deeper. You must seek out answers and riches along the way. Death is a very important mechanic in this game. If you were to perish on your travels, you lose nearly everything. You lose every item you picked up, as well as your experience and levels gained. It's almost like starting from scratch, but what you do get to keep is your gold, which is pretty helpful on repeat runs. With this gold, you can purchase items to aid you in your future attempts, such as arrows, armor, scrolls, and even permanent upgrades like expanding your inventory. Merchants are available in the hub area, and they can also be found in pit stops along the way. The gameplay in Delver will get pretty intense. There is a steady increment in difficulty the further you delve in. Combat feels great. I found that for my playstyle, movement is incredibly important, so I focus most of my runs on leveling speed, at least for the first few levels, so that I can move and dodge properly. While playing, you'll need to be ready to back up to keep distance between yourself and enemies as to not get surrounded. You'll have to dodge spells and projectiles while also being aware of your environment to avoid stepping into traps or falling to your death. Yup, it gets pretty chaotic, but in a good way. Delver asks you to be focused, pay attention to your surroundings, and be able to move accordingly to survive. All weapon types in the game have their own moveset that's really fun to experiment with, and you'll find that there is a great amount of variation in art style and weapon stats even between weapons in the same class. For range combat, you have a few options. We have bows, which can be incredibly powerful and fast, but they do require arrows which are scarce enough to the point where you want to be mindful about their use. During my runs, I opted for saving my arrows for flying enemies, as I found it a lot safer to shoot them down from afar. We also have magic, which can be used for range combat in the form of staffs. They are very powerful, have a limited amount of charges, and come in a variety of styles and effects. Consumables also play a big part in combat, both up close and ranged. For nearby enemies, many scrolls can come in handy. Some scrolls have offensive spells that can make quick work of enemies in AoE style attacks, while for range, we have different types of bombs we can use. My favorite was the arrow bomb, because I could use it to attack enemies as well as pick up the arrows the bomb left behind, further supplying me with the arrows I need. The game has many mechanics that tie into each other like this, and it makes for very creative strategy planning for subsequent runs. There is way too many to mention here, but another thing is that by holding down the throw button, you could also toss items from your hotbar, which could do decent damage, so whenever I ran out of charges on a staff, I would just throw the staff, often finishing off my opponent. I love when games give you the tools you need and reward critical thinking. This is without a doubt a big part of why I kept venturing in. And trust me, even though I'm giving you a lot of information on the gameplay, there's still a great amount I'm not covering. And this is by no means a guide on how to play. I'm very much new to Delver myself still. Like many roguelikes, Delver has procedurally generated dungeons. This means no two runs will be the same. However, your goals and set levels will not vary too much. When you enter the dungeon for the first time, the goal is to get to the exit. For the time being, it will always lead you deeper, into caves, abandoned mines, and so on. Even though the levels themselves are procedurally generated, it's done so in really clever ways. The way it was designed, it seems like it takes procedurally generated rooms, puts them together in different patterns, forming different paths and rooms to explore, while also having a great variety of room layouts and assets to play around with. There were moments in my repeat runs where I would maybe recognize a room, but even then, there would always be something new there to keep it fresh, such as different enemies, new loot, or level assets to give it some variety each time. Overall, the level design never got boring or too repetitive in my dozen hours playing through. A neat detail was also that enemies seem really well thought out and interwoven into each level. Humanoid enemies can break objects that might be in their way, such as barrels or boxes, and flying enemies even seem to seek out cover sometimes, while also every enemy being thematically in line with their environment. And because of this, I always felt immersed in their hostile pixelated dungeons, which is a really nice segue into the game's A big part of Delver's ambiance, without a doubt, is its art direction. Delver has a beautiful, cartoonish, 2D pixel art approach to its 3D voxel world that grew on me incredibly quickly. In a way, it's somewhat reminiscent of old school shooters like Doom, but sports a lighthearted and cute coat of paint, with vibrant colors that serve excellently well in portraying a D&D kind of world with pixel art. Personally, I found the art style both unique enough to where it stands out among others in its genre, while also being easy to read and appreciate. Another important component of Delver's vibe is undoubtedly its music. The team in charge of Delver's music did an excellent job of evoking the mood for the journey. You have songs that convey a sense of momentary peace, like Campfire Guitar, played in the hub area of the game. And my personal favorite, the alternative track to the sewer dungeon. There's just something about this melody that I can't get enough of. Best way I can describe it is it feeling both mysterious and hopeful. Whenever I got to that point in the game, it was a real treat when that song came on. Loved every second of it. Summarizing what I love so much about my time with Delver, I'd have to say that the gameplay is incredibly addicting and easy to get into. The moment-to-moment exploration in the game gets intense and kept me on the edge of my seat the whole way through, especially in subsequent runs. You'd think that with repetition, a game would get boring, but it really didn't, even after delving into the dungeons a few times and having a good idea of what I was about to face. There were always surprises and different ways to approach the obstacles in my way, and it kept it fresh and kept me coming back for more. I have to give this game a rating of 10 undead skeletons out of 10. Thanks for watching.